So we're trying to get an understanding of Banneker's history, and
I
now
have a timeline.
I'm
I have a
recording.
timeline for him.
Okay, so wait
Here,
a
I
minute.
have a timeline for him. So here, I'm going to send that to you right now. That's
Okay,
in the tree that has it. And she's the one who helped make some comments on this book that I sent you that was written. So there's a timeline.
okay, perfect. See, and I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Oh, the
So,
timeline.
so what we're trying to figure out is, and this is for the recording because we were doing all this talking before we even did the recording. Robert Banneker is Black. So what you guys are saying is his parents were Welsh, which is interesting. So what he must have been an indentured servant.
You need to look at the whatever Emily
Timeline that
is
she
sending you. You'll see.
Okay, so hold on.
I'm sitting looking at the timeline. I have a timeline here too.
I sent it now, Jeff. I see why mine didn't go. You can only have 1,000 characters, and I have more than that. I can put it now. I put the timeline in
I
the
see
chat.
now. Wonderful. Okay. Okay. Ooh, look at that.
Yeah, that's the one I'm looking at too. I have that right here.
Big pretty thing. Wonderful. So we have that information going on in the chat. Wonderful. Okay. So I'm gonna go back to the Bannekers. All right. So what, based on what y'all saying, what are we dissecting as the background history?
Yep, I see that too.
Wonderful. Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, I think we're one level above this where this starts. I think.
Yes, where the Welsh is coming for Robert.
Mm-hmm.
Then Mary Lett, who her parents are. So of course, so the conversation is that if you're related to Banneker or Letts, you're also going to be related going further back to Welsh's and whatever Mary Lett's mother last name is, because her father would be Lett. Okay, makes sense.
Right, and I have some Welsh connections. I didn't know where they were. Okay.
Here we go. There you go. Here you go. Now, what's interesting is that I don't pull Banneker or my brother at all, but I do pull Let. So, and again, I probably could be pulling a bunch of these lines, but my DNA matches don't know how to go back to Maryland. Mm-hmm. So I have to do more work, but by triangulating my DNA connections with all of you, and you have it. That's why sharing your trees and sharing your matches trees will help us to build our connection quicker with better clarity, right? Okay. I'm barely just past sentence number 1. Okay. So it said Mary Lett, when she was also called Benica. So that's something for us to remember. And honestly, guys, write this stuff down as a note. Note to self, search for Benica. And if you don't have any matches, okay. But it's just something to note. So when you start researching, you start seeing these names coming in like Welsh's, is making sense. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Mary Benica petitioned Maryland court for her children. Here we go with the children of Robert and Mary, Sarah, Zachariah, and Deborah Lett. Mm-hmm. Hold on. Who is this? Why are they not Bannekers? This just threw me for a loop.
Is it, where are they her children before she got with
Yes,
Robert?
because this was his second marriage. There you go. So Mary, so Mary married a Lett, but what was her name before the Letts? If she married into the Letts.
Wait a minute, I was looking at something.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because later it's going to say this was probably his second marriage, whatever. So we're talking about indentured servants in this time period. So that's why they were more free to socialize and get together. And then all of a sudden they started seeing these relationships happening and they started implementing laws. Because they didn't think that far ahead. Okay, so now
then Deborah. Mm-hmm. I also see something right here. It goes back to 1665. I don't know what that D word is, and it says Kingdom of Senegal, Africa.
Put that, if you have a link, put it in the chat.
Okay.
So Robert's coming from Africa. potentially.
Oh, actually, that's the same thing that's already in there. Sorry.
Okay, okay.
So in
And
that
let's
timeline.
remember that Mary Let was her mother was white, but she got with an enslaved man who was black. So you see what I mean? So now we have an indentured servant, Banneker. Mary Let was her mother was white. Her parents may have been white, but she got with an enslaved man. And Mary Let and the enslaved man had the children that we're seeing, Sarah, Zechariah, and Deborah. So two sets of children. And eventually it's going to start talking about the Bannekers. So this is where the difference lies. And maybe that's how come I don't have Bannekers. Because maybe I'm stuck with the Lets. And that's how come I'm not pulling Bannekers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as you're building a tree, you want to have Mary with two husbands.
What are their names?
Sarah, Zechariah, and Deborah Let.
Okay, let me see what I have here. I have their names in this tree. Let me see what's in here.
Okay.
They don't have anything except Robert Banneker.
Okay.
They don't have.
And that's why it's important to find documentation like this that helps us to fill in those gaps. And then we can go look for trees or something more that has this. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. I think I have something else here. Hold on.
You will find Emily's related to everybody.
But no, I'm just looking at the notes that's in this tree.
The document
Yeah.
for the tree.
Is it
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Okay, here, I'm going to copy this one and send it to you all, put it in there also.
On the chat. Wonderful. So now this is saying that the Banaka is a name of a town in Liberia, West Africa, home of the Vai people who have lived there since 1500 when they left Mali Empire. So if you're connecting to Banakers, now you see your connection to Liberia, Africa, West Africa, and a tribe, the Vai people, the Bay people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're finally off paragraph 1. And that JSTOR is basically a research document. So a university level research document. So this JSTOR link here is another good link for you to do more digging and more researching if this is your line. So I'm putting it in the chat now. I'm finally doing something. That research info.
Okay, it says Sarah and Zachariah Let, Mary Let, they were bound to William Rogers.
You trying to get ahead of my sentence, my
Oh,
paragraph.
I'm sorry.
So
I see something here, but I'm not gonna post it in here because I'm not sure if we've gotten that far yet.
okay, so let me go next. We gonna get to the kids. We still got a lot more dissecting before
No,
we
see,
pull
this has nothing to do with the kids.
Oh.
This is, it's like, it's got the farmhouse property timeline.
Okay, if you got a link, right, put it in the chat.
It's for Banneker.
Okay, if right Banneker, put it in the chat. Because the goal of this is gonna help us all come together, find links, share it under a common name. And now you have the resources you need to be able to delve deeper, right? One person sees one thing, another person sees another thing. And so now we can advance what we're doing. Okay, so Robert's marriage to Mary Let was probably his second, since his daughter, a Negro, Catherine Banneker, was married 4 years later in 1735. So Robert had a daughter, Catherine Banneker, spelled Bannaker, according to this document. So now under Robert and Mary, Robert gets a second marriage to an unknown person, unknown slave, and with that union, they have the daughter, Catherine Banneker. No. Robert's marriage to Mary was probably, Catherine Banneker was married 4 years later, was probably his second, since his daughter, an unknown Negro. Catherine Banneker was married 4 years later. Okay, so the daughter that Robert had by somebody else is just unnamed. And then because down here I see Catherine. So this Catherine is Mary Let's and Robert's daughter. But then Robert had another child named Banneker that is not the people that we're going to see on here. So this is going to come into play. Let's say you do have a DNA match to a Banneker, but it's not on any of the names eventually that we're recording.
Was Catherine born in 1715?
No, this is 1735.
Okay.
All right, I got somebody. Oh Lord, I gotta make somebody a host because I'm losing. Okay, admit Crystal left, Crystal came back. Okay, there it is. All right. Okay, so now we have Catherine was married. This was Robert's second marriage is also suggested by the Baltimore court's approval of Robert Banneker, a Negro free, to exempt his two daughters from tax on freer African American women over the age of 16. So by 1743, he had two daughters. Okay. So he didn't want to pay taxes on them because they were free. I don't know why, because I thought they paid taxes. Oh, they paid taxes on property. The Baltimore court exempted Robert Banneker and his unnamed wife from paying taxes during the lifetime of their crippled mulatto child, Julian, and remitted their taxes for the previous year. His unnamed wives. Oh, maybe he didn't write her name because she was white. But it was Mary's son. Okay, guys, got that? So he and his son, Benjamin Banneker, purchased 100 acres. So this is them buying land, da-da-da. Okay, third paragraph. Okay, so hold on. Let me see if I can find. Crystal wants the document that Emily posted. So Emily, was the first link you posted the document that you shared or the second link?
Okay, let me see, because the first link I posted were
Was a tree?
URLs to the trees. And then the next link was the Banneker timeline from those trees.
Okay, she wants you to put the timeline in again. She got out, you know, when you come in, you miss everything before.
Okay.
I crashed. We are having a bad storm.
Oh boy.
All right, it's in there again.
Okay, so you're getting that storm that we saw on the news. Okay. Robert was taxable. We get that. We get that. He owed to the Baltimore estate of Richard Gist. He bought something from a Mr. Gist estate. Charles Christie. And these names can be helpful that if you have somebody later that married into those names, they were neighbors. Was called women. His wife called Mary Banneker with Mary Welsh, widow of John Welsh. Here we go. So now we see Mary's somebody. Oh, Mary was the widow of John Welsh. So her first husband was John Welsh. You guys see that?
Mary Lett's first husband was John
Yes.
Welsh.
Yes.
That just says Mary Lett.
But where the heck did Let come from? Anywho. Or one of her husbands. We'll figure we'll figure it out. But she was when Welsh is coming in, this is saying when Mary Welsh, she was a widow of John Welsh.
So let me have been
Can
her
we get a
maybe.
copy of this?
Pardon me?
Can we get a copy of this thing
Yeah.
we're working with?
Yeah. I'll put it in the chat.
Okay. I like discussing it, but I'd like to dissect it for my,
Absolutely. Later on absolutely.
yeah.
But that's how come I won't let you guys talk about names yet. Because they're providing so much background that we don't have to try to get. He did an amazing job in this free information here. So again, his wife was called Mary Banneker. When Mary Welsh, widow of John Welsh. Well, who is Mary Welsh if it's not her? Oh, she made a Prince George's County deed of release. Hold on, let me finish the sentence. for mulatto servant Samuel Mortar, who was the husband of Mary Banneker's daughter Molly.
I went through this document. I can't even tell you how many times I have notes everywhere trying to put this all together. It's a puzzle.
But I'm gonna tell you the better way to do it. You either gonna structure it as a tree or you're gonna add it to a tree. And the best
Okay,
place to do is add it to a tree.
the timeline says Mary, Molly's oldest daughter, and Benjamin Banneker's mother is born. That's 1700.
Okay, but again, who's Mary? Who's Mary Welsh? She's the widow of John Welsh, but which Mary are we talking about? Mary Lett?
You said Molly, right?
Well, that was a daughter.
Right. Mary, Molly's oldest daughter, was Benjamin Banneker's mother.
But wait a
was
minute, you just
born.
said Mary, Molly's oldest daughter. Whose oldest daughter?
Mary's Mary was Molly's oldest daughter. So Molly had a daughter named Mary, who was Benjamin Banneker's mother, was born.
Got to be more careful. Y'all gonna make me break out the paper.
Okay, well, look at the timeline later.
No. I see what you're saying. No. I see what you're saying. But for real, I be like, let me put this down on paper and work this out because they don't. The timeline is definitely gonna be great. But I see what you're saying. So over
Molly
here,
had a daughter named Mary, and Mary had Benjamin Banneker.
yep, who was the husband of Mary Banneker's daughter, who was the husband. Well, the mulatto servant named Samuel Mortar married Molly.
Okay.
See
Let
that?
me see if I don't see. Let me look at the tree.
Because this says mulatto servant Samuel Mortar,
Okay, let's see.
who was
right.
the husband
It's
of
Samuel Mort. It's Morton, Morton.
Okay, Morton.
Mhm.
These are the names to be, mindful of. So Benjamin and Mary's daughter Molly married a mulatto servant named Samuel Mortar or Morton.
Right.
That's what this sentence, this long sentence, is telling us.
Right.
I'm still beyond confused. His wife, Mary Banneker, Mary Welsh, widow of John Welsh. I'm still stuck on Mary Welsh and John Welsh. So is Mary Letts?
Okay. Now it says that. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
You go ahead.
The tree has here Molly Banneker, who was married to Samuel Morton, and Molly's father was Robert Banneker, and the mother was Mary Banneker. So they don't have a last name for her. And then let's see, and then Mary's mother was a Welsh.
There you go.
It's spelled, Walt, WLSH,
Okay,
WLSH.
so the Mary Letts' parents were Mary and John Welsh, is what we're saying. That's Mary Letts' parents. Right there.
That's what I have in my notes.
Okay. And so when I say make a tree, you add this to the tree because once you said it, you can now forget it. But not creating. So this is why you go in and you create a new tree, not connected to anything. Now, someone like Crystal, they will be floating in my main tree because I know that I'm going to eventually be relating to these people. Any of you who are pulling Bannekers or Letts, and I'm going to be honest with you, when I work a name, I work that name till I connect them to my tree. Don't go creating something and then go back to it tomorrow and go back to it a week from now because you will never connect it and finish it. So if I'm going to focus on Banneker, this is all I'm going to do till I bridge them to my tree. Okay. So now we figured out Mary's parents, a couple of children, Robert Banneker's children before he got with Mary. And now we have Mary. Yeah, now we have Mary's parents, and then Robert had an unnamed daughter.
And just I have a quick question. So Emily posted in the chat a little JPEG or whatever, a little picture.
Yep.
And it looked like part of it was cut off at the bottom, but I've seen that too. I have that somewhere in my notes. I just don't know where it is right this minute. But is it also saying, okay, so Mary let Sarah and Zachary.
Oh, that didn't come up the
Zachariah.
whole, okay, I'll go back and copy the whole piece for you, okay?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
What?
I'm wondering how that relates to what we're looking at too.
No
Okay,
wonder.
well, let me just, this is Crystal, right?
That was Jennifer.
That was Jennifer.
Jennifer, took that from the two URLs I put in there. It's
Yeah,
from
yeah.
their tree.
Oh, you put it in the URL. Okay, okay.
Yeah, the
Oh, but it
URL
came from
have
their
it
tree.
in their account.
Yeah, I
And
have that document somewhere saved on my computer. I just can't get to it right this second, but I've read that and I have it in my notes too. So I was like trying to figure out like,
so Jennifer, where you're so stuck with trying to figure out how you're relating to everybody, baby, you got to build a tree
oh, yeah.
because these notes are everywhere. It's not, sometimes we got to visually see it and we got to be
Mhm.
able to click it and see the connection. And so by constructing this and adding it to a tree, it now starts to make sense when we go further down and we're talking about their children. And then when you're getting a tree from someone, and now, like for instance, so we're gonna go on, but when we start talking about their children, soon as I add all the children to the tree, I go look for other people trees who got this in their tree. And now
Mhm.
that you have a tree structure with the parents and the names and the history and the dates, you will get more and more trees and more hints. But not having anything, Ancestry don't know what to
Mhm.
get.
Yeah, now I'm going through, see how every time it references something, like
Mm,
it'll reference the whatever it came from. I've gone and pulled all those.
okay.
So
So
anyway,
okay. All right. So
okay.
now we got Molly, who got married to Samuel Morter. Moving on. So they made a county deed of release. Wait a minute, I already did that part for Molly. Oh no.
They have one child for them too, if you need in that document, a greenberry.
Okay, you got back over there looking at children. Okay. So let me see. So the deed of release was from the mulatto servant Samuel Morter, who was the husband. Okay. Robert died. So now we have, who is it? Is this Robert Banneker? Robert died July of 1759, according
Right.
to the Bible. Got that. Yeah, I got that. Okay. Then on December 3rd, John Welsh's widow, Mary Welsh, also gave Mary Banneker a deed of release to her rights to Negro Ben. So Mary Lett's parents, mom, gave her Negro Ben, who had been born free and was then about 43 years of age. Okay. Grown man, but okay. So okay, stay with me. Stay with me. Benjamin, wait a minute. So this isn't Benjamin Banneker. This is a Benjamin Welsh. He just happens. Did he happen to have the name? Did he happen to have the name? Mary apparently used this deed for 4 months when she was called Mary, the widow of Robert Banneker, and deposited in Baltimore County that Benjamin was the true and lawful son of Robert Banneker, deceased. My Lord, my God. Hold the phone and wait a minute.
This is when I say it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I think I should go to bed now, and then I don't pick it back up for a while.
Okay. Mary apparently used this deed. There's something in here with this slave that she got. And I'm trying to make sure I'm understanding if this is trying to say who's the slave. John Welsh's widow. Where's your timeline saying? Somebody else figured this out.
What are you looking at now?
So this is saying John Welsh's widow, Mary Welsh, or Mary Lett's mom. But Mary Lett's father died. So
Okay, let
Mary's
me see
mom,
what's here.
Mary
Mary
mom,
Paulette. Okay, let's see if that's the one, Mary Paulette.
yes, gave Mary Banneker, it was Mary Paulette Banneker, a deed of release to her rights to Negro Ben, who had been born free, and he was 43.
Okay, now I'm gonna see if there are any
Was she
notes.
called Mary, the widow of Robert Banneker.
Let me see if there's anything in the gallery for this person.
But see, this is what's so who died? Oh, Robert. Okay, here. Robert died. Robert Banneker died. Mary is now a widow. Okay. John Walsh also gave Mary Banneker a release to the Negro bin. Hold on. Mary the widow and Benjamin was the true and lawful son of Robert Banneker, deceased. Robert was the father of all these people. All right, y'all. What this? All right. This is saying Benjamin Banneker was the slave of Mary Lett's parents, the Welshes. Mary's father died. Her mother released Benjamin to her, to Mary. He was already free though, but the mother released Benjamin to Mary Lett, who had been born free and was 43. Mary apparently used this deed for months later when she was called Mary the widow because Robert had died, and deposited in Baltimore County that Benjamin was the true and lawful son of Robert Banneker.
What's the year on that?
Oh my God. 74. Somewhere in the 70s, 1774. So this is saying Robert Banneker, he married Mary Lett. There you are. I think this is saying Robert Banneker's mother was an unnamed slave. Remember, he had got married twice, an unnamed Negro. So I think Robert Banneker was the slave of the Welshes. I mean, Benjamin Banneker was a slave of the Welshes. And his father was Robert. And Robert had a child by a Negro who was free. So Robert Banneker and the Negro's son is Benjamin.
That's a mouthful.
And there's Benjamin right there. Okay. Jesus. So the question is, out of all these kids, who is the children of Robert and the unnamed slave? We know that Benjamin is. This is how you dissect this and make this make sense. Mary didn't come into play till later. All right, Mary didn't come into play until later. So at a minimum, Esther, Catherine, and Benjamin are the children of Robert Banneker and this unnamed slave, this unnamed free person of color, right?
I'm trying to read to see if I can see those names in this.
Because what this is saying is Robert and Mary both had 2 marriages. Now later on, they're saying that Robert was in fact the father of Benjamin. And if Robert was the father of Benjamin, who was the 3rd child, then Robert and this unnamed slave, unnamed free person, is the parents of at least the top 3 people. So now let's use the dates. It says, Mary led the daughter of a white Biden enslaved man by which she called Robert Banneker petitioned, and Deborah led. I'm trying to say Banneker is the name of a town. Robert's marriage to Mary was probably his second. When did it say they married? I'm going to say somewhere after 3rd. Well, I'm going to say, I'm mad with these people. This is saying the daughter of a white woman by an enslaved man. That was who Mary was. Robert married Mary Lett, the daughter of a white woman by an enslaved man. Got you. By May 18, 1731. So that's when they got married. What I'm not certain about, it would make sense. So May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's only 6 months.
I'm trying to see if I see anything in here. I'm going through.
Benjamin is born November 1731. Benjamin, I would say, would be the son of Robert Banneker and the unnamed slave.
Okay, in this tree, it has Robert Banneker from 1710, married to Mary Banneker, and Benjamin is their child.
But that's what I'm challenging right now.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm.
Robert, right here, and Mary, right here, it's saying was married by 1831 when
Right.
she called Mary Bennica petitioned the court for her children who were not Robert Banneker's children. Why did she petition the court for her children? But Banneker is the name of a town, who, okay. Robert's marriage to Mary Lett was probably his second. Negro. Catherine Banneker was married 4 years later. That's a daughter in 35. Catherine Banneker. Robert's marriage to Mary Lett. Catherine Banneker was born. She got married in 1730. She got married 4 years later. What? Catherine. Catherine's not even up here with Mary. So this is so Catherine is Robert's daughter by an unnamed Negro. So work with me now. 4 years later, so they were married in 31. They got married in 31. Benjamin is born November of 31. At the end of the day, it's Robert's child. But the question is it Mary Lett's child, or is it an unknown slave that's up there, an unknown free person? I have to stop calling this woman a slave.
I think didn't Mary have these children already before?
Mary's children would have been Letts. So these were all
Right.
Mary's children before Robert.
Right.
And then this is Catherine.
Yes, but now, okay, so is that Sarah and Zachariah? If you look at that, what Emily sent through, let me see if I have it pulled up still. I don't know if my PC's gonna be able to handle this. It's kind of dying. It says something about, hang on here, I'm zooming in now. Okay, it says Mary in August of 1728, I think it says was indicted, and then it says for BAST, which I guess is bastard, right? Or bastardized or whatever, tried in November of 1728. And then it says in March 1730, her two mulatto children, Sarah and Zechariah, were bound to William Rogers. Let's see here. So she was, so I'm guessing she was indicted or she was charged for her children being mulatto.
Right.
So, but does that mean that doesn't really say who the father was, right?
The father
Well,
was
if you
Robert.
look up in 1737, it says Robert purchased 100 acres of land in Baltimore with Benjamin's name on the deed.
Right, but Sarah, Zechariah, and Deborah were Letts, and they were not Roberts. Because remember, Mary is a Lett. She married a Banneker, and her children are Letts. And later on, it said Robert's marriage to Mary was probably his second. And then Mary's parents' name is Welsh's. So she had married someone before, and they were Letts. Now I can see Negro Catherine Banneker was married 4 years later. So 4 years after Robert married Mary Lett, the daughter Catherine Banneker got married just 4 years later. There is no way in the world this woman would be Mary Lett's daughter.
Mm-mm.
They didn't get together till 31. See how you make this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So she is the child of Robert Banneker and an unnamed free Negro right there. So, okay. So like I said, these three here are Robert's first wife's, who was a free Negro, children. And again, to me, so if Benjamin Banneker is known and infamous, I mean, everybody knows him, famous for what he's done. I'm not pulling no Bannekers, but I am pulling Letts.
Have you tried Banneker spelled all kinds of ways?
I did, I think. But then I know I've seen Welsh's. So So if I am to be relating it to the Bannekers and the Letts, then this makes sense to me. By constructing the family properly, it now can make sense why we can relate it in one way and not others.
I have a Welch. Let me see if I can find my Welch tree. Go ahead. And let me see if I
No,
can
and
find it.
actually, why don't you guys start throwing some Welsh links in here?
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can find my Welch tree.
Yeah.
Search for Welsh in Maryland and start popping those in here. Oh yeah, Hope says she had mentioned this before. Banneker could also be Banabi, but Hope, according to this document, it all can also be Benaka.
Yeah.
You see that line about Jemima?
Up here, girl, not yet.
Down a little bit. You got Esther, Catherine, Benjamin, Julian, Minta, Molly, and Jemima.
Right.
Read Jemima's.
Jemima.
See, he also says that, okay, it says, Jemima says that he was said to take the name Let when his widow mother married Zachariah Let.
Hello.
Yeah, right?
Girl, I don't, hold on. We got to dissect these one at a time. There's too much information in that one paragraph that got my head spinning.
Yeah, right.
Let's clear up one line at a time. This is how you gotta construct this, guys. And I'm telling you, because once I make it make sense, I start throwing that sucker in the tree, I get results. And so create your trees. Stop being afraid to create your trees, but stick with it. Don't run. Okay. Esther was born 1726. We can give child Esther a date with a Banneker name. She married William Black. So now we got her with a husband. So if you're relating to Bannekers, Letts, Welshes, you're probably relating to Letts. Black.
Yeah.
Okay. Catherine married Boston or Barton. Good grief. We had Morton, or whatever that other name was up there. So all of these are the names you want to be cognizant of when you're searching and researching this family. Benjamin, we finally get Benjamin. And also make sure you're noting where they're born, right? Because remember, this is about who's connecting to Frederick. But before we can even get to Frederick, we're in the 1740s in St. Paul's Parish in Baltimore. So Esther's in St. Paul's Parish, Catherine's in St. Paul's, Benjamin is in Baltimore, St. Paul's. So all three of those are together with the same mom. Makes sense. Okay, so Benjamin Banneker signed the Baltimore County Maryland petition, 1768, to move the county seat from Joppa, Baltimore. Okay, he was taxable in upper hundred for Tapsco. He sold land to his neighbor Barton. So let's remember, his neighbor is a Barton, but somebody married a Barton. There we go. Catherine married a Barton. So that means that could be James, wait a minute. This is Barton, no. Oh, yeah, James Boston. Remember, Catherine married James Boston or Barton. And down here it's saying the neighbor of Benjamin was a John Barton, probably James's brother. So now we're constructing families from what is listed. All right, land was purchased in 1738. Benjamin also sold 2 acres, okay, to a sugar. That man was doing some amazing things. To Jonathan, Jonathan, Elias, George, and John Ellicott. Okay, Benjamin is done. Okay. Didn't say who he married. Isn't that interesting? The next child is Julian, 1733. And we know that Mary Let married 1731. So again, this is their, wait a minute, first child, Julian. Julian is crippled. Remember, we saw something earlier that talked about there was a crippled child. They petitioned the court for probably so they didn't pay taxes. So this is who they're talking about, Julian. Daughter of Robert and Mary, who was perhaps the daughter Perhaps the daughter who was the mother of John Hendon. What? What? I'm gonna leave that.
Are they saying that they're saying that Julian had a child named John Hendon? Perhaps the daughter who was the mother of John Hendon who managed the Ellicott.
Julian was born by Robert and Mary. We got that. We already
And
know
what was their last names?
Hendon.
Hendon. What? Perhaps the daughter. So Julian is a girl. First of all, my brain went to a boy. So Julian, the crippled daughter of Robert and Mary. Those are the parents. But it's saying perhaps the daughter who was Julian was the mother of John. That's what this is saying. Julian had a child named John Hendon. So Julian got with someone with an unknown name of Hendon. That's how you structure that. Okay. Make sense?
Keep going. I'm not there yet, but keep going.
You'll hear it in the recording. He registered in, now it's saying a he. Oh, John Hendon managed the Ellicott stables. He registered in Baltimore as a light yellow complexion, 5'5", 45 years old, born in Baltimore County. He registered with Elsie Hendon, who was 20. So John might have had a child named Elsie. But now what year is this? 1806. So who was not manumitted. Certificates of freedom. So the Hendons must have tried to apply for freedom and they did not get manumitted.
I wonder if that Hendon is also Hinton.
Hinton?
Hinton, Hinton.
T-O-N. Okay. Okay, so
What was the name of the Hinton guy?
we have Hendon, John Hendon, and he was also recorded with the Ulcie. So Julian's son was John Hendon. She got with someone named a Hendon, and then there's an Ulcie Hendon who's 20 years old. Julian was born 1733. This is recording information in 1806. So Julian is at least 73 years old. So she old by then. Crippled, but she has a family. All right, Minta. Minta was born in 35, sister of Benjamin by Tyson. What? Can someone explain that? Oh, Minta Black. The sister of Benjamin Tyson. Identified as the sister of Benjamin Tyson. What? She was also said to have the same appearance as Benjamin in a court case when her testimony against a white man was refused. She was a midwife. This doesn't explain. Didn't we see the name Black earlier? William Black. Esther married William Black. Minta, whose last name is a Black. Identified as the sister of Benjamin. I think by Tyson, what that could mean is that, so remember the conversation when they're bound by someone? You may be a free Black person of color, but a white person has to vouch for you. And you must you must take up a trade or working. So being bound to someone means that that person is responsible for you and that you'll be an abiding citizen. So by Tyson, Tyson may be the person who is managing or looking over Minta, especially when they're underage. I think once they get to a certain age, then they could be free. But if they're younger, then they have to be bound by someone. Or if they're indenturing themselves to someone, they bound them to someone. But she was also said to have had the same parents as Benjamin. So did Benjamin Banneker go under the name
Wait a minute.
Tyson also?
Wait a minute. Wait, look below that one. I know we're not going ahead, but the next one's talking about Molly. And then it says married a member of the Morton family. And then in the parentheses there, it says Martha Ellicott Tyson.
Tyson.
Yeah. So I don't know what that means.
Girl, it's worse. Apparently identical to Samuel Moulton. Okay, so Mary. Okay, we're gonna tug Minta for a hot second. I think Minta married someone who had the last name of Black, probably William Black's brother or somebody in the Black family, where Minta was. Molly married a member of the Morton family, Martha Ellicott Tyson. Good gracious. Identical to Samuel Moulton. So maybe the identical to Samuel Moulton mean Molly married Samuel Moulton. I don't know why they wrote like this. Couldn't they have? They was writing in English. Why they didn't help us out better than this? Samuel was a mulatto belonging to the Welsh of Prince George's County. Let's remember, the Welsh was Mary Lett's parents, right? Samuel, it looks like, may have been a part of that Welsh family as well, as a mulatto. Not sure if he was a free person of color. Probably was, because Benjamin was freed. When Welsh directed that he be free after the death of his wife. So John Welsh set Samuel Moulton free when his wife died. I'm going to tell you what that says to me. Many times when women owned slaves, the men had no rights to the slaves. So the men had to abide by the wills of the wives wherever they got those slaves from. So this is how come it's a saying, when his wife dies, he is to be set free because he really had no rights to him legally. So that's what you would take from that sentence. My computer is, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. I can't highlight just yet. My computer is choking, but okay. Samuel Moreton. So we got Moulton. We got Morton. We have Moreton, Moreton. All of these are the name variations that you will be looking for DNA matches.
Yeah.
And what I would suggest is don't check that checkbox in Ancestry that says find me variations, because I don't know where they get those variations from, but it just doesn't bring back anything worthwhile to me most times. Okay, so Moreton was taxable in Patapsco Upper Hundred of Baltimore County and was listed in the ledger of Ellicott and Company. Okay, maybe that's where he was working. So that's Molly, and her line is Morton. Minta's line is Black. Esther's line is Black. Catherine's line is Boston or Barton. Julian is connected to Hendon's. Julian was a female. She's connected to Hendon's. These are all of the names associated with your research connected to Banneker and Letts. Now we're on Jemima. 2 years later, said to have been another child of Benjamin and Mary, who married a white man named Samuel Delaney in 1758. Samuel was said to have taken the name Lett. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. When his widowed mother married Zachariah Lett. Lett did not come into play until after Benjamin Robert died. My goodness. You guys see that? According to what Jemima's information is saying, right here.
Can you blow it up a little more? Never mind, I got it.
Okay. Yeah, you got the document. So this is basically saying, so what I'm reading is Mary's maiden name is Welsh. And after Robert died, she married Let. Got to be careful. Am I related to any of these people? Because this literally is saying Samuel was said to have taken Let when his mother, his widowed mother, married Zachariah Let. Zachariah married a woman named Margaret before her, before 1741, when their first child was born. What? Okay, but Jemima was born in 39. How could Zachariah hooked up with someone after he got with Jemima, apparently? No, after he got with
This record show Jemima was born in 1730. Let me see if I see anything that'll help. No, she doesn't have a lot in this to help
So
me.
that'd be interesting to note that this line is saying Samuel took the name Let when his mother married Zachariah Let. So did Zachariah Let come in after Banneker? And if so, that would make sense why she's holding the name Let. And that's why it makes sense that her parents are Welshes. So she did have a second marriage, but was it before Robert Banneker or after?
Here's what it says here in this tree. Samuel Let, whose real name was Delaney, was a farmer of English, Irish, and Native American descent. When Samuel Delaney was very young, his mother Mary, a white woman, whose last name was Delaney, married a mulatto by the name of Zachariah Let. So Delaney changed his, Samuel changed his name from Delaney to Let.
Right, but the question was, right, but Zachariah, so Jemima's, so this said, okay, Samuel was said to have taken the name Let when Samuel's widow mother, not Jemima's. Jemima mother is Benjamin and Mary Let. But this is talking about Samuel's mother. Okay, so this is for me not to get this mixed up. Samuel's mother married Zachariah Let, not Jemima's mother, Mary.
Right.
Okay. Did you post whatever link you got that from, or was that in the document?
That's in that same tree.
It's in that document. Okay, cool.
Right, it's in the documents.
Okay, okay. So according to Meshach Simpson, great-grandson of Jemima, Samuel and Jemima had the following children. So these are all the children of Samuel and Jemima. And apparently they took the name Let.
Yes, ma'am.
There was no documentation other than Samuel's notes of the Let family passed down from Meshach and Let and other family members. And then last but not least, the eighth child, a daughter, the wife of William Hubert, who was named in 1795, April 30th, entry in the account book of Benjamin Banneker. He was head of Patapsco. So they all lived in this Patapsco, Upper 100, Baltimore area. Everybody, all the Lets, according to this. Where did I get Frederick from? I don't know. Must have been the Let side. And the father of Henry and Charles Hubbard, who obtained certificates of freedom in Loudoun County, Virginia. So in 1810, we got this family on 1795. On 1795, we got this family in Loudoun, Virginia, which I was told, remember we said they were near the border of Frederick area? They're in the upper area. Son of a free woman and grandson of Robert Banneker, whose wife was also a free woman. Robert Banneker lived in Baltimore. Why are you talking about Robert Banneker down here? Okay, that's the Bannekers, y'all. In note, the Vi often name people after their town, so we caught that earlier, that this is where the Banneker name came from, out of Africa, Liberia, West Africa. George Eli Russell discovered Princeton's court records, and this is just saying in the article of Molly Walsh. We finally got done with Banneker.
Hey, can I tell you something?
You can.
I just looked up Loudoun County, Virginia, 1795. I just Googled it. And you know what AI comes back with?
What?
In 1795, Loudoun County, Virginia saw the beginning of iron mining on Catoctin Mountain.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, because I know that the Johnsons had property in Loudon, and from just trying to study that stuff, one day we got to study the will, literally, of Johnson, whatever his name was. I'm too tired. Baker Johnson.
Yeah, right. This
That
is a
man
lot,
has
isn't it? It's a
that
lot.
man had so much property, it's amazing. And so, in trying to pay attention to where these slaves could have been, I was like, this is another day. I was just focusing on the slaves, but when I kept seeing, oh, he gave this person land, he gave that person land, he gave this person property, he allowed them to rent this one and rent this one in Pennsylvania, in Loudoun, Virginia. It's astounding. It's amazing. So, okay, we are finally done with Banneker's. Next name. Let's see. I don't know how quickly we're going to bridge to the next name or how much time you guys want to go, but let's go to Bentley. So I don't recall anyone having, well, I'm sorry, I didn't have Bentley. Not anyone, me. So while I pull this up, we have a better, stronger understanding of Banneker's now, right?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
And now you can build a tree for the Bannekers. You can add those people. And then now when you're looking at the trees of the people, you know, you may not have seen anyone just yet, but this is how now if you build your tree, you might find a stronger one. So now we're on to Bentley. So out of Bentley, the name Bentley, Hopi had some, Sherry, Rodney, and Rashawn. I don't even know when a Rashawn got added to the group, but cool. I think it was recently. So, all right, you guys, go search for Bentley, Bentley. And I'm going to go back to the document and show that, and we'll discuss that one. So I'm looking for Bentleys. Oh my God, this is kind of long. But okay. All right, who has Bentleys? Matches in Maryland.
I have a Bentley match. I'm gonna now try and go find them and see who it is.
And remember to add the location of Maryland just so that we can
Right.
get a closer match.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Then we can skip it.
Okay.
No else has it.
Okay, you sure? Okay.
I have, yeah.
Well, I'm going to do the top part because I think it's important. I don't have any, but somebody else may. So this person was Mary Davis of 1657. She's straight out of England, was a white woman who married a Negro man named Domingo.
Go back to this tree and see what she helps.
And Domingo was the slave of Joseph Tilley of Calvert, Maryland. Mary Domingo was living in Lower Baltimore when she wrote the details of her marriage and baptism in the Bible.
When was Mary Bentley born?
1657.
She doesn't really know.
Her
Okay.
daughter Rose produced so this is all coming from a Bible. And so this is Thomas. So what is this? Hold on. Mary and Domingo were the parents of, okay, Jennifer, thank you, honey. Mary and Domingo were the parents of Thomas and Rose. And then this is talking about Rose's children and Rose's grandchildren and so on and so forth. So someone was called Indian Polly. So that's very interesting. Somewhere there was somebody who was part Indian. And what's interesting, I'm connecting to Thompsons. So it's surprising. And Diggs. So Mary Bentley was a slave of the Diggs. The Diggs is a connection to the GU 272 cell and a slave of Ellen. The Carrolls and the Diggs are interconnected families. So that's why I wanted to just briefly go over this, but it's just very interesting to be able to see a lot of this because I'm trying to track my families or the slaves of these names and to be able to realize it's connected to the Bentleys. All that means is I don't have DNA of the white family or this line, but they enslaved some possible family members of mine who might have gotten sold or hired out So it could be a connection to my family, even if it's not a DNA match.
Yeah, I have Bentleys back to 1746 in Frederick, Maryland.
There you go.
A tree with it, and I'll put the tree in the. Well, nobody else has, but nobody on here right
No,
now.
no, no. Put it in there. Put it in there.
I'll put it in there.
Because I'm trying to track these digs and these carols.
I
And
have more, but this one has them back in the 1700s. The others were 1800.
okay, cool. No, that's perfect. And notice that here they were in Maryland and also Virginia. So, you know, that's why you want to pay attention to the location. Maybe it's close to Frederick, maybe it's further away. So they're in Queen Anne's, and there's Fredericktown, Frederick, Maryland down here. Polly was in Frederick. So Emily, this is that name that's pulling out of Frederick, but it's saying another member of the family. So after dissecting all this stuff, this isn't saying who her direct line is.
Okay.
But Polly married a younger. So
What's the nickname from Margaret?
did you say is that another name for
Paul
Margaret?
is the nickname for who? Paul is the nickname for who? Margaret or who? I don't remember.
Well, that's what ChatGPT is for.
I know. I'll do it later.
Notice here that they do have Barry. I know Barry is your line, so notice they do have Barry. So, okay. Small list, but there's Barry. So next is Bone. Donald Hope. And I don't think you guys said Rodney was on. Is Hope on?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So I'm gonna just stick with the ones for the people that are on, because I don't want to waste. Did you guys search for Bone? Some of you didn't do the exercise, so search for Bone.
I did. I don't.
Bone.
Bone.
Yeah, if I could find my saved chat, it had all mine in there who I matched, and I don't know what I did with that. I have a mental block for that. That was I saved it, but it just went somewhere.
So the Bone name is small. But the code, so Elizabeth Bone, 1740, white woman, servant of Thomas Allender of Baltimore County. She had a son named Nathan by a Negro. So the court sold her son to Mary Allender. So hopefully he kept the whole baby somewhere close, Thomas's daughter. And sold Elizabeth to her master for 7 years in 1758. So her master was Thomas Allender. So she probably got added 7 more years. And then these are her children if you have Bone. And this is where Bone is also a name that is in Frederick.
Bond or Bone?
Bone.
Okay.
Okay. So next, next name. Brown. We know Brown name, but Brown's in Maryland. All right, you guys search for Brown. Nobody on the call other than me.
I have Brown matches.
I have some.
In Maryland? Okay.
I do too.
These Browns is long, y'all. It's long. So let's take a look. Brown. Let's see if we can dissect this one. Eleanor Brown, and so this is Anne Arundel in Prince George's, was born 1689. She was a servant of Thomas Ricketts, confessed to Anne Arundel court that she had a child by her master's Negro Will. So at least we have a name of the Negro Will. So Eleanor Brown and Will. Her son was born October 1709 and bound to Henry Merriday. So the Merriday person, I don't know if he was a slave, but that's who bound the son, Will, until he was 31 years old. But at the end of the day, the son had to work for Mr. Merriday till he was 31. Then she went in March of 1890. She had another child by a Negro named Sam, who belonged to Colonel Mahal. The court ordered her to serve her master, Thomas Ricketts, for 12 months. for the trouble of his house and bound the child Henry Merriday until the age of 31. So she was the mother of John, who was born 1713 in Anne Arundel, Margaret and Philemon. He was listed in the Ricketts house. So I'm trying to see. Okay, so Thomas Ricketts looks like he had at least all the children. And she was working with Mr. Merriday. Then this is talking about Margaret's line here. So they don't have information on John or Philemon's line, but Margaret's line. So in 1716, she had 24 years to serve Mr. Ricketts. She was called Mulatto Margaret and Meredith Davis. I swear it'd be helpful to understand what they'd be implying by all that stuff. When she confessed to Prince George's court that she had an illegitimate child. And I think they were illegitimate because she was free. Her mother was free. She's considered to be free, even though she had to serve. That's why they didn't say she was a slave. She had to serve someone for a period of time because she was free, but she owed the court because of her mama's misgivings. So then, because she had this child, she got 10 lashes. Who was the servant of Meredith Davis. The court ordered her to receive 10 lashes, bound her illegitimate child named John to her master until 21. She had another child named Charity, which she got 10 more lashes, and another child named in 1748. She was called a mulatto woman, Peg. So Margaret apparently was called Peg, the child of her, and had 18 months to serve when she was listed in the inventory of Prince George's County estate of Meredith Davis. Right here is where you go look for the will and probate records of Davis, Meredith Davis, in 1754, to be able to see what other slaves are listed in maybe other families. Okay, Crystal's internet is crapping out. And then these are her children, 1739, Anne, John. John was a free mulatto who bound himself to Reverend Thomas Bacon in Frederick. Bacon petitioned the court saying that John had run away twice since bounding himself as an apprentice. The court orders that he serve Bacon another year for restitution for trying to run away. So by 1790, he was in Montgomery County in 1790. And then Charity was 1745, and then this is George in Anne Arundel. So when it goes to say other members of the family, they know they're in the family, but they don't know how they're connected.
Oh, right.
But these are definitely names to hold your hat by. Here's all these Frederick County people down here. So we know that if someone up here was in Frederick, then maybe there's a connection between them down here that we get a record for, kind of thing. And then Kent County, Elizabeth Brown, born 1690, was a servant of John Carville of Kent County. So she got 20 lashes that her child served her master according to law, that her master delivered her to the court at the expiration of service. She had a child by William Jenkins. So we have Brown, this has an E, but probably would not, and William Jenkins. And then all of these people. So I don't see no tree links going on.
No, I don't. I've looked through mine. I don't see anything.
Nothing decent. What about you, Amanda?
No, because the one that I'm looking at right here, it goes back to 1680 to Sudbury, Massachusetts, and the person name was Sarah, and it says she died in Westmoreland County, Virginia.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. So not so. Oh, but did you type the location of Maryland?
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting. Okay. So Butler, we know Butler is huge. I'm telling you right now, I'm working on Butler. I know, but I haven't heard of of Emily if you have Butler. So can you guys look and see if you have Butler?
Okay, looking right now.
We know Butler is huge.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Damn.
you do, Amanda?
I have about 20 matches. I have to just see where they all end up.
Okay.
Goodness, this is still going. Well, I have 2 pages. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So we know Butler is tied to and I think I did that presentation that showed all of those names that were Butler out of that area. So so we know, and I am working right now on trying to figure out those connections so that we can figure out our connections to them. So I won't go over that now. Butler is huge. Calamine. Out of Maryland, I have no matches.
I think I have the Calamine or Callahan.
Yeah, it's with the M. I thought you were connecting to the Calamans.
Callahan.
Oh, hold on. So I'm in the B's, I think. I gotta go to another page, another link.
Callahan, Callahan, right?
It's with an M, not hand, with an M. Calaman.
Okay. No, I don't have Cal.
No.
Callaman.
Okay.
Right there.
Is there another spelling?
I've heard, but see, okay, Mary Callaman married Benjamin Lett. So that's why it was important to understand the connection between this Callaman name and the Lett name.
Oh.
Hmm.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're gonna be relating to the Bannekers, the Letts, then Mary Callaman later, and another spelling is with an I. Calliman.
Okay.
So and Callaman is also connected to Pearl. Let's see here. James Callaman. Did you have any, Emily?
Any what?
Callamans.
No, but I do. I have the tree in that one country of Mary Callahan marrying Benjamin Lett.
Okay. So you know there's a connection there. Robert Pearl's sons, James and
Well,
Pearl.
it may not be come off my connection, but I do have it. I'll put it in the tree.
Gotcha.
But it's in that one tree, whole tree. But I put it.
Okay.
Yeah, have her in there.
And so Robert Pearl.
Pearl is the surname.
I'm confused. Yeah, Robert Pearl's daughter, Mary Callaman. Oh, so Robert Pearl's daughter, Mary Callaman, married Benjamin Lett. But why is Pearl connected to Lett? Where does Callamans and Pearls come in? Robert Pearl's sons, Thomas and James Pearl, were called the kinsmen of James Colmore. He may have been the ancestor of the Callamans, James Callaman at the top. So Negro one mulatto man Robin, and then Robert Pearl, one mulatto boy, Jimmy. So maybe I would have to look at the records. So you see where my disconnect is. Maybe Hope he has some understanding for the Callaman name. What was standing out to me is normally what's been happening, these names have been consistent based on marriages. But what we're seeing here with this Callaman, here it said freedom at age 35. So James Callaman, born 1695, may have been identical to James the Mulatto, who was 17 years old in 1713. when Richard Marsham of Prince George's County devised him his freedom, gave him his freedom at 35. He was listed in
Pearl name?
Robert Pearl.
Okay.
So Negroes, so see, that's why it's important to read and not to skip over and assume everything is tied and connected.
Was he born 1690?
Probably around that. No, I'm seeing 1768. 1690 was James Calliman. He was born closer to 17.
Pearls. Okay. I'll wait.
So there is a Negro one, mulatto. Robin was 7 years old at age 7 years to serve. He was 27. They're listed in this man's estate, Marsham's estate. So if you're researching the Calamans, it's important to probably look at this man's estate information because it's going to give us more information. But there's a mulatto man named Robin who had 7 years to serve, so he was free. He was 27 at the time. Then there's Robert Pearl, a mulatto boy named Jimmy, 17 years to serve. Who is this Robert Pearl? So this is a will. There's the will information right there. Thanks, Emily. So Robert Pearl's sons, Thomas and James, were called the kinsmen of James Colmore. So maybe it's just how he is wording this that's making it confusing. That's why it's important to look at the document ourselves. So then Robert and James, Daniel Pearl sold a 13-year-old slave named Rob, who had formerly been the property of James Colmore, later Prince George's County deceased, by Frederick County bill of sale. He may have been the ancestor of Moses Calliman. He didn't identify him as John Calliman, Zilpah Calliman, Mary, and Benjamin Calliman.
Okay, and this is Robert Mulatto Pearl.
Yeah. I'm just not understanding where Robert Pearl's name is coming from. So what I think could have happened based on what we're reading, Robert Pearl could have been a child when his mama got with somebody and he was bound to someone else to serve out his term. And that's why he might be holding the name Pearl, bringing that from his parents or his mother. And that might be why. So even though he's connected to the Calliman name, it looks like he's bound to this family.
In one of my matches, it had the marriage to Elizabeth Ann Black, who was a slave, and then a Jarvis.
And remember, we saw the Black name earlier when we were researching Banneker name. Remember? Yep. Remember one of the Banneker's daughters married. Two of the Banneker's daughters married Blacks. So that could be an interesting connection between that, why you're seeing Black in your search, and this possible connection coming back over here.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's very important to read and dissect what they're saying, because
Someone else on here have a Black connection? I can put the link in the tree. No one else? Okay.
Okay. All right. So we've done Calliman Coker. So Hope has the name Coker. Yay! She's here.
I did too.
Hope he has. Okay.
Hello.
All right. So let's look at Coker. Have you got a chance to look at Coker, Hopi?
She's not here.
She go in and she goes out.
Yeah, I think she's probably having some internet issues because it says she's left again.
Yep, I see. Okay, so for Coker, related to Coger.
How are you spelling it?
Coger.
Try that one too.
Yep. Coger is in Coger.
I have Cokers, but they're in Alabama tied to the Stensons.
Jen, you're not filtering it to Maryland, lady.
I filtered it to Maryland. That was just a comment.
Oh.
I wasn't, that was just a comment.
Okay. Hopi, we're looking at Coker and Coger.
Okay, I think Coker. Look, if I don't get kicked out, something's wrong with my device and I keep getting kicked out. Coker, I believe, is connected to my Leek family.
Leake?
Yes.
Okay. So for Coker, and you so also search for Coger. You saw that Coger.
Coger. Okay, I'll try that.
In Queen Anne's County, also Maryland and Delaware. So the members of the family were Daniel, 1766, in Carrollton County, household of 11, born in Maryland, living in Little Creek 100, Kent County, Delaware, with his wife Sarah in the house of James Coker. So they're living in the house of a James Coker, who was also born in Maryland. So that must be a family member, but they're not listed in this list, which is interesting. So maybe it's an uncle or somebody like that. Moses is 1774, a Negro, purchased land. He was the head of a Carrollton County of 11, and a 76-year-old mulatto farmer with $3,400 worth of real estate in Carrollton County. So Daniel is in Kent County. Moses is in Carrollton. Philip, born before 1776, is living in Carrollton County in 1820. David, 1775, a 75-year-old mulatto. So he was born 1700.
Yeah.
In Greenwich County, New Jersey, with black wife, Harriet. So this is going to tie 1700 New Jersey to this Coker family. Daniel is in Talbot County in 1820, and Thomas Coker is in Kent County with 8 recolored. So Hopi is gone. Emily, Amanda, you guys got Cokers?
No, ma'am, I don't.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Side note, I'm going to put something in the chat for you, and I'm going to label it so you're not in the chat. I'm going to put it in your Facebook page. It's a page that has Butlers and Mahoney's in it, but they're out of Maryland by then. But I'm going to put it in your Facebook page, okay?
Okay. Okay. So Hopi has Corsi or Kersey. So search for that. Coursey. And then there's a separate spelling.
Nope, I don't have that one.
Try Kersey.
K-E-R. Really? This thing put in what it won't do. No, ma'am.
Okay. Emily?
No. What was the name again?
Corsi. Coursey.
Okay, let me go check that one.
And there's a separate spelling.
Okay.
And the separate spelling, I'll wait for you to do that one.
Yeah. Coursey. I have one.
Okay, and then now try Kersey. Kersey.
Yep, I have one.
Okay, a different one?
Yeah.
Okay, so Hopi is researching this name. So you and her can connect.
I'll put them in the tree.
Okay. As well as the other people researching Corsi and Kersey is Hopi and Sherry Anderson, who did the assignment. So Mary Kersey was born 1720, the servant of Nicholas Glenn. Does your tree take the name far back?
You mean?
Emily?
Let me go back and maybe see where it is.
Okay. So she was fined in 1742, so she was 22 for having an illegitimate child. She was called Mary Curse Mulatto. in Glenn's account that he recorded in the court 1744. And the case he brought against her for running away for 8 days and bearing 2 children in his house. Okay, so 1742, she had a child. Then in 1744, she had a second child and she ran away. In June 1745, she received corporal punishment for having another child.
Yeah, she's 4 generations back, 4th and 5th.
4th and 5th for you. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
What's the year of the cursing in her tree?
Hold on. Let's see. She doesn't have a year for her. And let me see what if she has to put the next person. Hold on.
And what's it? They
Oh,
wouldn't.
they have themes in this tree too. Okay, I really have to look. They don't have yeah, it's just Maryland. They have a death date of 1860 in New Jersey for one of the Corsi with a C.
So that's 100 years later. So they haven't taken it further back.
And I'll put the other one in too, you know.
Okay. Definitely connect with Hopi. She is looking for curses as well. And so Talbot, she was bound to Nicholas Glenn until 13 other members of the family. John, Ralph, William, John, Elizabeth Kerse, Kerse, is a different spelling.
Is anyone else putting anything in this chat but me?
You and Amanda are the only ones here now.
Oh, okay. Oh, I hadn't looked down at it. Okay.
Yeah, that might be why.
Yes, and I don't have these names.
So check Kerse, Kerse.
Okay, let's see.
So now this one is in 1810. It's probably going to be Hopi.
Kerse with no Y. Okay, let's see.
Right, Kerse.
Nope, don't have that one.
Okay.
Nothing there either.
Caesar Corse. Oh, good grief. Corse. And the rest are men, so they would have taken the name
Nope, don't have it.
Corsi. So, okay. So here it says there was a Charles Corsi who was an Indian living in Somerset, Maryland, when he owed 13 shillings to the estate of Matthias Glale.
Oh.
So maybe if you did have any connections, you consider looking at this Native American Indian connection to that name. And I think we're on the last one. Thank goodness. Crass, Crass. So Hopi had almost all of the last names.
Oh,
Short one. Robinson
I
Crusoe.
don't have that one either.
You don't have that? Okay.
No.
Robinson Crusoe's in here. How about you, Emily?
nope.
Okay, cool beans. It is 9 o'clock and we went through all the names.
Okay.
So I think this was to me, it was an amazing exercise, just breaking down that Banneker situation.
Mm-hmm.
And now I mentally have better clarity on understanding that family structure and the possible connection to the other name that's in there. So I'm going to post another set of names. We'll do the D through a couple of sets.
Okay.
Next week, do the same thing. And so now you guys have the hang of it. Save the chat.
I'm going to put that Banneker book in here again. Let me pull it up and put it in.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
that's
I'm gonna
interesting.
wait. And what I'll try to do is see if I can save it as an attachment and just add it to the group.